Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of WWE Aftershock, where we talk about pay-per-views from the past. I am your host, Mark, the Mexican Dream Rodriguez here, and we're going to talk about Royal Rumble 1991. And I gotta say, this is back in the good old days when we still had Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Mr. Perfect, the British Bulldog, and all those classic favorites actually in the ring, running around, and not just photographs or past memories. And yes, this is actually a bit of a timepiece now. This was taking place a couple of days before what would become Desert Storm. So there was a lot of talk about, pro-American action and also wishing our troops to come home safe and sound from Desert Storm and all of that. So it was pretty cool. So I gotta say, though, that this is a little bit before my time, though. Before I started watching wrestling, we still had things like the Rockers with Mario Jannetty and Shawn Michaels being a tag team instead of like whenever Shawn Michaels separated and became the Heartbreak Kid. And we also had Demolition, Smash and Crush tag team before they separated. When I watched Crush, he was still the Hawaiian good guy. So this is a little bit before then. So yes, let's check it out here. Let's start it off. Right now, the first match I'm talking about, we got the Rockers, Mario Jannetty versus Shawn Michaels. Mario Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, the Rockers, versus the Orient Express. And yeah, I personally never heard of the Orient Express, never seen them before. I'm not sure how big they were back in the day. They're, these Asian dudes with Mr. Fuji there. There's always cheating going on when Mr. Fuji's around. He's always smacking people with his cane. The only thing that stands out is that one of them has a red face mask, the other one doesn't. And the Rockers are basically, rocking it up. They had some good moves, some high-flying energy there. And at the end, the Rockers were the ones that won. And it was pretty cool. And it's pretty interesting to see Mario Jannetty and Shawn Michaels working together and being all happy and stuff before their eventual separation, so to speak. And then we have here Sherry having an interview with the Ultimate Warrior. At this time, the Ultimate Warrior was the current champion, and at this time, Sherry was promoting Macho Man, who was calling himself the Macho King because he recently won the King of the Ring tournament, so now he started calling himself the Macho King. He had a big royal cape, a crown, he had a scepter. I remember there was the WWE Challenge for Nintendo, and in that game, he was in it, and he was also referred to as the Macho King. So basically, Sherry is basically begging and pleading the Ultimate Warrior to give Macho Man a title shot. And she started seducing him and talking about how good he looks and touching his muscles and everything. But the part that really got kind of weird and kind of, I guess, kind of awkward was when she actually got down on her knees and started begging him, and just the angle that she's at when she's begging him while on her knees and everything. I'm sure it went over most kids' heads, but for adults, that's like, whoa. It's like, I think she's talking to the wrong mic, if you know what I mean. And not only that, but the thing that made it funny was that Mean Gene Okerlund had his microphone, so of course he's trying to follow her around and twisting and turning. So wherever she was, he had to kind of try to follow her and put the mic near her mouth and everything. It was like, oh my God, please don't make me touch it and everything. And after all of that, and the whole puppy eyes and seduction and everything, Ultimate Warrior had that moment where he's kind of thinking it over, but he's like, no, you bitch, get your whore ass away from me and everything. So watching backstage, the Macho Man sees this. He's super pissed off. He's not getting a title shot. He starts throwing shit around, just going into a rage. Like, how dare you? How dare you? I want to be the title. I want to be the champion and all that stuff. And yeah, it was pretty intense. And after this, we had the Big Boss Man versus the Barbarian. I've seen the Barbarian fight a little bit. I don't remember too much about him. I do remember the Big Boss Man. I do gotta say that considering the Big Boss Man is a bit on the chunky side, he's pretty fast. He's pretty athletic. There was a bit of high-flying action there from the Big Boss Man. That was kind of surprising. He's pretty up on his feet and, jumping off the ropes and all that. So it was a pretty good fight. And the Big Boss Man, he won the match. Then we had Sergeant Slaughter versus the Ultimate Warrior for the championship match. And yes, at this time, Sergeant Slaughter was like the bad guy. He was a traitor to the country. He was with this Arabian announcer guy. He was wearing an Arabian, kind of desert headset. and which is kind of funny because he's still wearing the American drill sergeant outfit. He just has the Arabian hat on. So everyone's like booing him and like boo, boo, boo and everything. And he's going to fight against everyone's champion, the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior just runs down there. The energy just intensifies with him acting crazy and, you know, pumping up the crowd, all that good stuff. But, yeah, Ultimate Warrior basically dominated the match. The Slaughter was like unable to do anything against the awesome power of the Ultimate Warrior, but then Sherry came to distract him, and while she was distracting him, you know, Sergeant tried to get some shots in, but then the real thing is that Macho Man came to distract him while Ultimate Warrior was out of the ring, and of course the referee was conveniently distracted or knocked out or whatever. Macho Man would smack him down. He would grab a flag post and just bash him with it and everything. So of course, now that the Ultimate Warrior has been, so to speak, tenderized, now that's when the Sergeant Slaughter takes advantage and starts beating him up and doing some moves. And to make it even worse, Macho Man comes back a second time, and now with the whole, you know, King of the Ring thing, he has his King Scepter, and he smashes Ultimate Warrior in the face with it. Ultimate Warrior is basically down for the count. Sergeant Slaughter gets the win, and he's the new champion. While everyone is super booing and booing and boo, 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 and everyone's just pissed off. Because remember, this is like wartime. This is like a strong time to be an American and everything. So having the anti-American guy win and basically laugh in our faces, everybody was booing. Everybody was pissed off. You know, the Ultimate Warrior got super pissed and started acting he was going to chase him. And Macho Man and Sherry just ran the hell out of there. That was just crazy. We got introduced with Hulk Hogan, super pissed off too. Like, oh yeah, we're going to come after you, brother. Yeah, you be careful, Sergeant Slaughter, because we're all going to line up after you, brother. You know, so it was like, yeah, it was crazy. So then after that, we had the Mountie versus Koko Beware. I remember Koko Beware mostly when he was in the tag team called High Energy, which is of course the happy, you know, go-lucky, I should say upbeat team, like how nowadays we got the Usos, we got New Day. That was kind of the New Day of back then with Koko Beware, and I forgot the other guy's name, I'm sorry. And the Mountie, I was surprised he still had his shock stick. When I saw him, he was, I guess, returning from something else. He maybe had a leave of absence, an injury, I don't know, but he had the shock stick, so I thought that this was his new gimmick. I didn't know he had it back in '91. Luckily for Koko Beware, he did not actually use the shock stick this time, but the Mountie still won his match. He still, you know, got his man, and of course Jimmy, Mouth of the South Heart, was there promoting him as his manager at that time and everything. A little bit of cheating for him as usual. He's also kind of distracting the ref while the Mountie gets some cheap shots in. You know, something just never changed. And then we had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, with his assistant Virgil, going up against the father and son tag team of Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes. And at this time, Virgil was basically his $1 Million Man's assistant. And the $1 Million Man, in some post interviews during the show, he kept rubbing into his face that, yeah, he's my assistant, he'll do whatever I say, you know, he'll shine my shoes, and you know why? Because money talks. Everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man and everything. And he would zoom in on Virgil's face, not quite liking it, like, damn, you punk ass, what you think you bossing around? He's not liking it, he's not enjoying this situation. So during the match, they're fighting it out, and the big thing that gets me, this is something that Chuck actually mentioned in our first episode of Aftershock, that Dustin Rhodes is the guy that would eventually be Goldust. And I was watching the pay-per-view, Paige was right next to me, she was kind of doing her own thing, you know, reading her books and stuff like that, and so I saw him, and I was like, whoa, Paige, check this out. Do you see that guy up there? Do you see that, the younger dude with the blonde hair? That dude's gonna be Goldust. And we just watched the fight, like, yeah, it was a good fight, you know, but we were more watching it just distracted by the blonde dude, knowing that this guy would eventually be Goldust, that's nowadays fighting with, you know, Stardust and everything. And, yeah, it was pretty good, pretty action-packed, pretty good match. I also surprised being Dusty Rhodes in the ring, because I've seen Dusty Rhodes when he was just like the announcer there, you know, but now when he was actually in the ring. But you could tell he's kind of old. He didn't really do that much physical things. Most of the stuff was his son doing it and everything. But of course the big thing is that during the match, Virgil was about to smack one of the Rhodes, and he accidentally smacked the $1 Million Man, and yeah, that caused some tension there. Now the tag team did win. The $1 Million Man and Virgil did win, and they keep their belts and everything. But after that, they still faced their issues. They grabbed the mic. The $1 Million Man was like, you're an idiot, you're stupid, blah, 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 but whatever, I still own your ass. Now come over here and wrap the belt around my waist. And everybody's booing and saying, Virgil, don't do it. It's like, shut up, don't listen to them. I'm paying you. I got money. I own your ass. Like I said, wrap that belt around my waist. I'm waiting, you know. So Virgil, of course, after some hesitation and build up from the crowd, just smacks the $1 Million Man. I'm doing your shit. Grabs the belt, drops on him, and he just walks on out. And of course, this would spark like upcoming rivalry between Virgil and the $1 Million Man eventually as the time would go. And of course, now Virgil would be fighting. He would be his own man now, and not just following the guy around and everything. Alright guys, now for the main event, the Royal Rumble, and I do gotta say, it is super awesome here. In case you guys don't know what the Royal Rumble is, it's basically a 30-man, well not always 30-man, but in this case it was 30-man fight here. Basically, two people start fighting it out, and every 2 minutes, someone else comes in, and they keep coming in every 2 minutes until all 30 men eventually make it. And of course, the only way to win is to throw the guy out of the ring. And if you don't eliminate your guys fast enough, you do end up with a ring full of like 10 or so fighters all at one time. It just goes crazy. It's super awesome. It's unpredictable. The wrestlers are random. You don't know which one's coming. Even if you know who's going to be in it, you don't know what order they're going to be in it. So that's pretty awesome. So yeah, this was pretty cool. I just love seeing the old favorites like Mr. Perfect, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Legion of Doom, all those people back in the ring, back in their prime, fighting it out. It's pretty awesome. And one of the first guys in there was Bret the Hit Man Hart. Best there is, best there was, best there will be. And he was actually there for quite a while. And I was also surprised we had Rick the Model Martel, that arrogant bastard there. But I gotta say, to his credit, as arrogant as he was, he did last a very long time in the fight. It was like, they were even counting it. It was like over 40 minutes in the battle, in the Royal Rumble, and he was still there. And as for the Hitman, it was until the Undertaker finally showed up. He's the one that took out the Hitman, and he also took out one of the Bushwhackers, and it was kind of funny there. But then it came up to the Legion of Doom to both do like a double clothesline and throw Undertaker out. So that was like a big surprise that they both teamed up and took the Undertaker out. And then there's this part that kind of confused me here. We had this scene where Jake the Snake Roberts comes in, and apparently he has big beef with the model Rick Martel. So they basically ignore everybody else. They're fighting mostly amongst themselves and everything. But the big thing is that they both jumped out of the ring, chased each other around, and jumped back in. And the fight kept going. So I was kind of confused there. Based on the Royal Rumble rules, I always assumed that if your feet touch the mat, you're done. And there have been lots of cool fights that I've seen that the wrestlers have done everything they could possibly do to avoid their feet touching the mat. Like there was this recent one, I believe it was this year's 2014 Royal Rumble, where Kofi Kingston was thrown out and he landed like, I guess, in the rafters or the announcer table, but not the floor though. And he actually jumped from there back into the ring. That was a hell of a far leap, and he still made it, so therefore he was not disqualified. So to have these fools just step right out, run around, and come in, and you know, and they were not disqualified. When I saw that, I was like, oh, these dumbasses disqualified themselves. But no, the fight kept going, and the announcer said something about that, but like a 10 count or something to get back in. So I'm kind of confused. If I guess if you yourself purposely step out, you're not disqualified. That's kind of weird. But if you guys have seen any other Royal Rumble, because we have like 30 of them now or something, if you have any other Royal Rumble that a wrestler has, for his own volition, stepped out and stepped back in without being disqualified, you let me know, because that was kind of weird. That kind of threw me off. But then another thing we had is that when it came to wrestler, the 18th wrestler to come in, and everyone was counting down 10, 9, 1, everyone was excited, no one showed up. And I was like, whoa, you know, what's going on? What happened to him? Is he late? No one showed up. And the announcer was like, calm down, you know what? I mean, the guy's not disqualified until the next guy actually comes in. And yeah, 2 minutes passed. Number 19 was counted down. He came in. So number 18 never showed up. And everyone's like, well, who is this guy that didn't show up? And it's like, well, we still got all these wrestlers to go through. Let's wait until they're all done. And eventually, Tugboat was the 30th guy. He was the last guy. So when the announcers, do their little count thing and figure it out, Macho Man was the guy that never showed up. And I was like, whoa, you know, the Ultimate Warrior chased him out so badly, he missed the Royal Rumble. That was kind of weird. So after Rick the Model Martel lasted so long, the British Bulldog was finally the guy that took him out. But of all those people, the last three in the ring were Earthquake, Hulk Hogan, and the Nasty Boy Knobs, which is kind of weird that only one of the Nasty Boys was in it, because we did see both members of Legion of Doom, the two Bushwhackers, the Demolition, but only one of the Nasty Boys, so that was kind of weird. And another thing I gotta say, the Bushwhackers was kind of funny, is that while the first Bushwhacker did kind of last a while, he fought, blah, 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 before Undertaker threw him out. Second Bushwhacker came in, you know, doing that weird thing they always do. They come in, 2 seconds he's thrown out, and he just walks right back out. And that was like the funniest thing. He didn't last long. He just jumped in, got thrown out. Hey, whatever, I still got paid. I'm out of here, you know, no shits were given. So that was kind of funny there. But anyways, after that fight went on, Earthquake had some beef with Hogan. They basically fought it out mostly amongst themselves for a while. Nasty Boy Knobs did team up with Earthquake. They were both determined to take Hogan down. But of course, Hogan does the whole big Immortal Hulk Hogan thing. He gets pumped up, the crowd's cheering, they hit him, he's like, no, it doesn't hurt, and he takes him down. He takes out Knobs, he takes out Earthquake, and Hulk Hogan wins the Royal Rumble 1981, and everyone is just cheering. It's just super crazy. Everyone's hearing the famous theme song. He's doing the famous thing here in the crowd and everything. But one thing I really loved that he did that was so awesome, he actually grabbed some of the audience's like notes and little papers they do and held them up for people to see, like about like 3 of them, and that was so awesome because, dude, I mean, if that was like my thing and he's holding it up, that's gotta be awesome. And you know that when they show pictures like forever of like Hulk Hogan won the 1991 Royal Rumble and he's got a big old sign there, it's like, dude, that's my sign. You know, that's awesome. I really love that. That was pretty cool of you to do, Hulkster. You really know how to light up the crowd and everything. And I gotta say, it was a pretty good match. It was pretty good. Royal Rumble. Pay-per-view, some of the matches, I mean, they kind of bored me a bit because I didn't know the guys too much. I wasn't as hyped up as I should have been if I had known the wrestlers, like the Orient Express or whatever. But the Royal Rumble itself, and more than made up for it. It was super awesome. But one thing I do gotta say, it does kind of suck for the Macho Man fans because, you know, every week the shows would advertise. Like back then they had WWE Superstars. I believe this was before they made Monday Night Raw. But every episode would advertise, you know, like coming up next, you know, we just heard that Mr. Perfect's going to be in the Royal Rumble. You know, the Macho Man's going to be in the Royal Rumble. Hulk Hogan's going to be in the Royal Rumble, you know. And every week they would give off 1 or 2 new people to get you hyped up. Like, oh man, my favorite guy's going to be in it, you know. So it's really got to suck for the Macho Man, for the fans, you know, like the kids in the playground, like, ooh man, Macho Man's gonna win it, man, and you know, you can dig it, and nah, you crazy, Mr. Perfect's gonna win, nah man, Hulk Hogan's gonna win it, man, and everything. So it's really gotta suck to be a big fan of Macho Man and all hyped up and everything, ooh yeah, and never showed up. That was just so weird, just never showed up. It's like, imagine now, Royal Rumble 2015, they announced like, oh yeah, Sheamus is coming back, ooh, he's gonna be in it, you know, and then when you actually watch the thing, never shows up. That's just so weird. And when you really think about it, Macho Man really didn't do all that much in the pay-per-view. He just was there. He threw a little hissy fit in the backstage. Oh, Ultimate Warrior doesn't choose me. What the hell? And he came in, he cheap shot at the Ultimate Warrior and everything, scepter smash in the face and everything. But that's all he did. He never actually stepped in the ring. So yeah, that was kind of, I mean, if you're like a big Macho Man fan or whatever, that was kind of a jip right there, you know. But otherwise, other than that, it was a pretty good match. And I do have to say that considering the time era this was in, with the war going on, the troops, everybody's like USA, USA. It was really surprising that they actually had the anti-American win the championship match. But of course, that'll make it so much sweeter when eventually one of our American good guys takes down Sergeant Slaughter and everything. And I guess it's like what's going on now with Rusev being the champion and also taunting people. Eventually one of our boys will take the belt away from Rusev and kind of end that. But yeah, just to wrap this up, I got a couple of shout outs. I got a shout out from Bret here. Actually texted me his thoughts when he found out about this review here. And so this is a text. This is not actually like on Facebook or whatever, so I can't do the cut and pasting. I'll try to do it as clear as I can. So Fred the Pug, which I don't know how a pug can type, but whatever. The Pug said, they set up Virgil's face turn perfectly, and having that occur, ironically enough, in a match against who his character was named after, Virgil Runnels, aka Dusty Rhodes, was fantastic. Also, having Sergeant Slaughter get a dirty win over the Warrior for the title was a great way to cement Slaughter as a heel without killing the Warrior's push. Having Hogan win with eliminating Earthquake last was smart, and that it kept the illusion of Hogan being the strongest man in wrestling at the time, while also setting up a match between Hogan and Slaughter quite nicely. And yes, that was pretty awesome. And Fred is a longtime wrestling fan. That pug loves his wrestling. But yes. So anyways, guys, that wraps up this episode of WWE Aftershock. And sometime between now and then, to keep kind of like the hype coming for the Royal Rumble that's coming up, I want to be reviewing Royal Rumble 1992. So if you guys have like the DVD of it, the videotape of it, or you guys got the WWE Network, you can watch Royal Rumble 1992. Leave your comments below on this video and I'll add them in the next episode. And of course, we'll also be reviewing WWE Royal Rumble 2015 with Roman Reigns as a big favorite, so we'll check that out. So anyways, guys, that wraps up this episode of WWE Aftershock Retro. I am Mark, the Mexican Dream Rodriguez, and I'll see you in the ring.